the final conclusion I put in the report was, the new normal of field service has been coming for a long time. Now it's here. Actually, I'd kind of reiterate, I'd rephrase that if I had my time again, because I certainly stand by the new normal of field service has been coming a long time. I think there's echoes of that sentiment right across this whole conversation. We have been building towards these things, and I agree that we've certainly condensed that time period. However, I think that it's the phrase that I keep hearing, it's the next normal, and I think that's more indicative of this constant continuous improvement journey that I've always been banging a drum about. Another point to take out from that, Mark, is the optimism. And it took me a while to get my head around this, because it's very hard to kind of have a conversation when we've all seen so much heartache, challenges in our personal and professional lives, across such a sustained period. Yeah, I think we're beholden to grab every single piece of silver lining we can and run with it. Just we owe ourselves that. And I was really, really pleased actually to see that reflected in this study. It's the final statistic I'm going to reference for this session, and then Steve, I would love to get some closing thoughts from yourself. Now, I'm sure you both know the statistic I'm going to pull out, because it's one that I leapt up on during the kind of the process that we were kind of pulling these stats together. That is that in the next 12 months, the question we put to all of the respondents, again over 230 respondents to this study, from all corners of the world, from all different industries, ranging from telcos, utilities, aviation, heavy manufacturing, print copy. This is a really, really wide-ranging study. We asked each of those respondents, in the next 12 months, will you be focused on growth or survival? Now, at the very top of this presentation, I said about statistics that caught me unawares. This is one of them, because I thought we would be hankering down, we'd be in the bunkers, we'd be trying to reinforce the little that we remained resolute to. No, actually 76%, so over 3/4 of the organizations that responded to this said their service operations will be looking to grow in the next 12 months. And I think that is a fantastic indicator, not just of the innovation and ingenuity that we've seen across the last 6-7 months. We've referenced a number of points during this conversation, but also the tenacity and the temerity of the organizations that we stand shoulder to shoulder with in the service sector. There's a robustness and a resilience, and we are heading towards, the historical data says we are heading towards a period where the economy will be service driven. We've seen that time and time again within the recessions. Again, for those of you who haven't accessed the report, go to research.fieldservicenews.com. I put some additional analysis in there around how that happens every single time we see a recession, so you can read about that there. I'm pretty confident to say we will head towards a very service-centric economy, and I think we'll probably stay there. So these companies are, your customers, Mark and Steve, my audience, all of you watching this at home right now, these are companies that will be driving the recovery. These will be companies that will be rebuilding the economy. So to see so many of them focused on growth, that was my biggest takeaway. And I think that would be my closing point. So I'm going to leave that at that point. And Steve, just ask you to kind of give me your kind of conclusions as well. And then Mark, maybe if you could do the honors with one or two just final thoughts as well. Steve.
Yeah, certainly, Kris. So I think the other analogy is that necessity is the mother of invention. And when in the darkest parts of the COVID period, then field service organizations and their customers became exceptionally creative. And as you say, as we've discussed, all of this technology is not leading edge. It's a combination of leading edge and well proven, but it's not been well deployed within our market. And so companies have aligned, as we've said, around the concept of outcome-based, being very comfortable with outcome-based, being comfortable compromising on certain deliveries to ensure that the outcomes can be achieved. And so there is a cultural momentum both within field service providers and customers to move forward to something that is better. There is pressure on organizations financially, and so that new outcome-based model creates an opportunity for providers to be able to reduce their cost and to meet market demand and to create innovation. And with that is a requirement for them to be agile and to look at their technology and to strengthen their technology. And they need to make sure that they're able to select partners and infrastructure that will enable them to be successful, and that they can layer on, as Marc said earlier with the maturity curve, layer on additional capabilities so that their their processes are complete, that they're end-to-end, they meet customer expectations, they deliver great service, whether that's involved triaging as an integral part of their delivery, IoT to bring data in to enrich that, insights to move to a preemptive rather than a reactive service model. There is a lot that's happening, and there's a lot that will continue to happen. The key thing is that the technology is available. It's now how companies start to leverage that and engage with the right key partners to enable them to be successful and to be in the race, as opposed to be waiting and see everybody else moving ahead and taking their customers from them. So that would be my summary.
Perfect, thank you, Steve. And Marc, final kind of thoughts from yourself.
So yeah, we've covered a lot of material, right? And there's actually a lot more that's in this research report. It's such a rich data set, as you pointed out multiple times. I think one of and I just want to continue to harp on, I guess, the optimism point that you summarized a little bit, which is, I think part of the reason for that optimism is once you get past the kind of reactive mode of dealing with accepting the reality that this is a crisis, that this is not just a crisis that's short-lived, but it's a long-term. And now that it's not just long-term, but it changes the way that we're going to operate. What I think has happened is that service organizations see that they are part of the solution for where we're going to in the world itself, right? And so the reason for that optimism and for that growth is because when you're part of the solution, you have opportunity, right? There's tremendous opportunity for us to be able to take a lot of what we've just talked about and the technologies that have been, the seeds have been planted that have been growing, and be able to change the way that we're delivering our services in a way that has meaningful impact, both for solving the challenges associated with the pandemic, but also solving the challenges associated with where we want it to go to strategically as organizations as well. And so I think that's why, at least that's the way I kind of interpret some of the optimistics as far as growth is concerned, is that we see ourselves as part of the solution. This is not just something, it's not a Band-Aid that we're trying to put in place here so that we can just get through this. This is a transformation that we're doing in ourselves in a way that aligns with probably the part of the vision that we had to begin with. Once again, we probably didn't envision it the way that this came together, for sure. I know no one did, right? But it has given us a platform to take some of those bleeding edge thoughts about where we wanted to take service and begin to implement that. And I think, the challenge for all service organizations is to, as Steve pointed out, is make sure that we're not on the sidelines and watching this as others take advantage of that, but be able to take advantage of it, but take advantage of it in a way that aligns to where we are as organizations and our ability to take on these new technologies, and as necessary, right? We don't take on new things just for the sake of taking them on. That's one of the things that the financial pressures of this crisis will continue to force us to do, is to prioritize what has the greatest impact for my customer base, for my industry, for my segment, for my type of equipment that we're servicing and that we're supporting, and take the best of these technologies and finding solution partners and platforms that enable us to do that in a cost-effective way. I don't think what the pandemic hasn't done is created a motherload of new investment that needs to happen here. We have to be I don't want to say thrifty, but we have to be pragmatic about what it is that we're doing, and that it's having an impact, both from a process standpoint, but in an operable way as well, because these are trying times still. We still have a ways to go, both as an industry, as a global economy, but as individual service providers, we still have a ways to go. And so we need to be able to stay the course, right? This takes commitment. This takes a vision for where you want to go to, and it takes partners to help you get there, and overall resilience, right? To be able to come out on the other end, achieving some of those growth areas, but also being able to deliver better service at the end of the day as well.